You're listening to Living Beyond with Hope. Hey, that's me.
Welcome to the podcast. This podcast is meant to help you realize you're more than a label, and you too can create a life you love despite it. Each week, we bring you tips and inspiring messages to help you take the positive steps in your health that will allow you to live beyond. Now sit back, relax, meal prep, or take a walk as you dig into today's topic with your host, a gal living her life to the fullest with type 1 diabetes, Hope Mangiafico.
The riches of this life are waiting for you. You just have to be open to receive it. The concept of riches looks so different for every person. When I initially think of having the riches of this life, I think of money, having success, like monetary success, where wealth is just radiating from me. But of course, as I've gotten older, I've recognized that riches can mean anything, and it's really a concept about being blessed and feeling abundantly blessed and having the ability to feel like you are rich in health, rich in relationships, rich in money, rich in well-being. And as I've learned this, I have begun to recognize that having riches in this life, especially with living beyond circumstances and limiting beliefs, I have learned that many people, and I am so guilty of this, never obtain the riches that they were meant for, or even the full-blown health abundance, because of fear and negative talk and negative thoughts that we've had in between our two ear holes, or better known as in our head. I know that you know, just like myself, that we are our biggest enemy. And it's funny because what I'm going to talk about today is nothing new. It's things that you know. You know the power of your mind because it's taught from an early age. But what we don't recognize is that everything that we do on a daily basis that becomes a habit that just kind of slides under the rug and goes unnoticed affects us so much. And what's crazy to me is health and everything that we desire is right at our fingertips. But we act a lot of times out of place of fear, especially when having a business or having a health condition where you're fearful that it is going to limit you. And what's insane is I'm hearing this more and more often, and this is the value of taking the time to reflect. I'm learning that what you focus on, you find and you become. And for a big portion of my life, I focused on what I did not want to be, because you're like, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to have complications with my diabetes. I don't want this. I don't want that. And it sounds kind of like we're empowering ourselves, right? Like we are making sure that we do not become X, for example. However, the more we focus on what we do not want, because our focus is there, we become it. And so many of us desire a rich life, a life of abundance. And it's unreal to me when you reflect back on everyone that has had success in life, what they have overcome and gone through, and how they have been able to become successful is not luck. It's not by chance, and it's not that they had a couple good days. It's because they learned how to master the mind. And living with a health condition and being an entrepreneur, I know that my mind is, it's like every day I have to focus on how to improve it, how to work on mindset, how to focus on mental health, because it took me a long time. I started with exercise thinking that was the gold mine to success, and then nutrition, and that was my gold mine. And finally I understood that without mental health and mental well-being, I am never going to accomplish what I want to accomplish or be who I want to be, because I'm blocking it. So this is a vulnerable moment where I just tell you that so much of my my life with my business and my life with the diabetes diagnosis, I would act out of fear. And for a big portion of my life, things looked pretty successful. And that comes from me being a hard worker, really. But over time, as I was just chasing, I was such a good student. I was a great child. I was what everyone would consider a successful teenager and really just someone that's going to do big things with their life. That stuff got to me and got in my head, and I realized that I was chasing those things and I never came to understand what hope wanted and who hope wanted to be. And now, years later, I'm recognizing that sometimes I would be with the wrong group of people that did not challenge me in the way that I need to be challenged, or I I develop negative thoughts if I have a couple of bad months with my business, or if diabetes is just not working with me despite all the things that I do correctly. I start to believe that it's defining me, or even not even defining me, but like, what the heck can I do now? And I focus on what's happening versus what I have control over, and negative thoughts start to form. And I focus on those negative thoughts, and I become those negative thoughts. I become that person that I don't want to be. When I think that, I'm being judged when I'm out in public, for example, it's not true. But because I feel that way, it's what I start absorbing. I start absorbing all this negativity. And in reality, people don't think I'm a bad person. People love me. They appreciate me. They appreciate my hard work and how much I love on them, how much I lift them up. But I don't see that because my negativity is blocking me from having those rich relationships. And I know that many of us living with some kind of what feels like limitations and complications and hardships, and we focus on them so much, and we feel like we can't get out, or we're useless in hopeless situations. And I'm here to tell you that you can do it. And I've always been big on like, it's mindset, but I'm recognizing that it's so much more than that. And for me, I'm a big dreamer. I have no problem dreaming big, but when I dream big, I get daunted by the process and I think, oh my gosh, I can't do it. And when I think I can't do it, I start to believe I can't do it. And as I'm taking the time, which I would encourage you to do, I'm taking the time to reflect and think of who I am, how I really, perceive myself with my business, with my health, with my spirituality, with my relationships, with my finances, with my hobbies, like all of these things. When I start to reflect on them, I recognize I'm not where I want to be, and it's because of thoughts that are in my head that I have made up. God has planned our life before we were even born, before we even hit this earth. And you are meant for success and to have these riches of this world. Whatever your heart desires, He has planned for you. And it's sitting right there. But just like when it's a cloudy, stormy day, we cannot see the daggum blue sky right above that makes our heart smile and reminds us that we are so blessed. And so, although our gifts are right there and we can think and focus on those things and actually obtain them, can't see it because we're blocking it. And sometimes it's negative thoughts, sometimes it's just fearfulness, and not allowing us to have faith in the process. And I'm here to challenge you today to open up your mind and to know that all things that you desire related to obtaining riches in your life, for your health, for your relationships, for your business, your finances, your family, there is nothing keeping you from it. Absolutely nothing. And this does not mean days are not going to be challenging, because if you do start to reflect and maybe meditate, pray, take some time off to journal and, learn some affirmations that make you feel good and have positive self-talk, it's going to be hard. And that's what a community is for. And that's what, I want to be supportive for you on this journey for. But you have to practice it every single day to keep pushing forward because you can obtain that life that you desire. And no one is stopping you except ourselves. And we all know that we're our biggest enemies. We know that. We don't always like to believe it, or we do believe it, but we don't come to terms with it. And I so often notice for myself as I've really gone deep on learning who hope is and what hope wants, I learned that I wasn't honest with myself. I didn't know what I really wanted, what I really desired, who I really was, what life I wanted, what I wanted for my family, what I wanted with my friends. I just got caught up in the day-to-day action and thinking that I was doing the right things. And a lot of times when that starts to happen and then I start to stress, I depend on myself to pull myself out of it and become self-reliant, and I'm pretty powerless. So that's where I have to sit back and determine where my faith comes from, because everything happens for a reason, and dig deep, meditate, pray, reflect, and know that your life of abundance is right around the corner. You cannot do it alone. You have to have faith, and you have to make sure you're not isolated, but you have supportive people all around you cheering you on so that you obtain the riches of this life. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It means the world to me to be able to serve you and help you live beyond. If you found today's episode helpful or beneficial or share-worthy, I would love a review in iTunes. A review in iTunes allows me to know what was helpful and allows us together to continue to change lives and help other people live beyond their diagnosis or label. And if you did find this share-worthy or helpful, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. If you're on an Apple device, you can go to the podcast app or the iTunes store and type in Living Beyond with Hope, and there you can subscribe or listen to other episodes. When you subscribe, this allows you to know when there's a new podcast release. If you're on an Android device, no worries, I got you. All you have to do is download the Stitcher app and search for Living Beyond with Hope there and subscribe there. You can also go to www.livingbeyondwithhope.com if you would like to listen to the episode again, if you would like to see the show notes and any links that were mentioned in this episode. Today's episode was also brought to you by my Living Beyond the Label audiobook. If you enjoyed this and you like hanging out with me in your ear, then you would love to get your hands on this audiobook. It helps us together strategize your best and most balanced life. If you want to learn more about it and to get your hands on the audio and the worksheets that go with it, you can go to www.mybalanceplan.com. The link is also in the show notes, and there you'll be able to start strategizing your best life. Have an amazing rest of your day, and remember to keep living beyond.